You want to find that drive and focus that has you locked in and on fire every single day? My book, The Mirror Motivation, will do it for you. I bought a copy for you. You take care of the shipping. The book is free. Click the link down there. I got you.
DreAllDay.com.
Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. Today we're talking about the biggest possible loser you can be. And here's the biggest possible loser. It's the person who never gets in the fucking game. That's the way that you could be the worst loser out of everybody, you know. I told this story probably on my podcast before, and anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. But the story was when I was in high school, I tried out for the basketball team. Freshman year got cut, sophomore year got cut. Junior year I thought was gonna be my year to make it. I got cut again. So during that school year, my junior year, I finally did make it as a senior, sat the bench that year, walked on in college, played pro after that, but that's a different story. During my junior year of high school, after I didn't make the basketball team, some dude who was in my class was like talking shit to me. We was talking about basketball. You know, everybody think they can play ball. Around that age, if you from the city, everybody thinks they can hoop, at least a little bit, even if they're not trying to go to the league or nothing. Everybody thinks they're something in basketball. So one of my classmates was like talking shit to me, like, Dre, you ain't, you know what I mean, all that, this, that, and the third. You ain't make the basketball team. You be talking like you good. You ain't make the basketball team. And I'm like, yo, you, and I'm looking at dude who was talking the shit to me. I'm like, yo, you didn't even try out for the team. He never even came to tryouts. Like all the years that we was in high school, I don't think this dude ever tried out for the basketball team, but he would always be talking shit about basketball or who wasn't good and this, that, and the third. I'm like, yo, you didn't even try out. And he was like, well, it's like you didn't try out, you ain't make the team, so it's basically the same thing. I ain't try out, I ain't on the team. You tried out, you're not on the team. We both ended up in the same spot. And I hear a lot of people using these analogies these days. And what sparked the idea for this video was I made a video, me and my girl, Anna, we had did a video talking about relationships a while back here it's on YouTube. We did several videos, but one of them, we was talking about race because she's, you know, from Europe. So we were talking about race and interracial dating and things like that. And someone left a comment, and there's actually several people have left a similar comment. They say something like, well, people who are in interracial relationships, their marriages end, and people have these different numbers. You know, when somebody's trying to argue with you or they're mad and they're trying to prove a point, they'll just throw out some statistic that's unverified with nothing to back it up or nothing. They'll just throw out some stat. You probably have done it before. Maybe I've done it too. So this person threw out some stat. It was like 70% of marriages end in divorce. Or I remember when I was working, this was what? It's 2019 now. So this is like 13 years ago. I was working at this gym in Philly. Right, and one of my coworkers, this white dude, we in a sales meeting because I used to sell memberships. So we in a sales meeting at the beginning of the day. We did this every day, and the manager was a dude named Gary. And it was like 4 of us salespeople, and this white dude told us that he was about to get married, right? And the manager, Gary was gay for whatever it's worth, and he said, and the dude mentioned his marriage, he referenced his marriage, I don't even remember what he said. And Gary said, like tongue in cheek, he was like, well, you know, 60% of all marriages end in divorce. And the sales dude who was about to get married, he was like, well, how long is mine gonna last? And I think the sales dude was kind of annoyed that Gary would point that out. And I don't know why he was kind of being the dick pointing that out. But it's just funny that people point out these stats. And I think to myself, think about that. I'm not married. I don't know if you're married or you've been married or you know anybody who is or has been. People like to point those things out, like this percentage of marriages end in divorce, or this percentage of whatever doesn't work out. People have these statistics about things that don't work out. And I wrote about this in my book, Work on Your Game. You become a story or a statistic, and that's how it is in a lot of things in life. You know, few people get to tell their story because they make it and everybody else tries and they fail. It becomes a statistic. But I was listening to Nas's album. Those of y'all who listen to Nas, he put out the Lost Tapes Part 2. And the last song on that album is a great song. It was probably going to go on his album, Life is Good. Actually, it was. I don't know why he didn't put it on there. It's a great song. But one of the things at the end, he's doing this little, it's not even a rant, but he's just talking at the end of the song. And he's talking about his ex-wife, Khalees. And I don't know how long they were married, for several years, but they ended up getting divorced. And Nas is talking about the fact that because they had a kid together, and the chick, Khalees, was not letting Nas see his child. And one of the things that he says in his talk is like, yo, when it was good, it was great. Our marriage was great during the time that it was good. But as soon as it dissolved, you became this spiteful character and you were keeping me away from my kid. Like, don't use the kid against me. Like, you already hurt me enough. Don't use the kid against me to try to hurt me. That's not right. Don't put your feelings in front of the kid's life, because the kid needs a father in their life. And that's what got me thinking. When people say these things like, all right, well, 50% of marriages end in divorce, or this percent of this type of marriage ends in divorce and things like that, it got me thinking like, yo, just because, and any of you who's been married, please comment on this. And any of you who's been in, maybe you had parents who got divorced, please comment on this, because I want to know if I'm on point with this, because again, I haven't been married. My parents are still together to this day. At least I think they are. Last time I talked to them, they were. And just because somebody gets divorced, let's say you have a 5-year marriage or a 7-year marriage or a 3-year marriage or a 30-year marriage, and you end up getting divorced, that doesn't mean that the whole 5 or 7 or 25 years was bad. It doesn't mean the whole 25 years was a waste. It just means that period, when you decided to get divorced, that's when things wasn't the right way and you got out of the situation. I don't understand why people use that as if there's something wrong with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I get married, let's not say me, let's say person X, because I don't want to speak bad things into existence. Let's say person X gets married. They get married, they stay married for 6 years, and during that 6th year, they get irreconcilable differences, they get divorced, right? Does that mean that the whole 6 years is bad? No, it means during that period, while they were married, things were good, they stayed together. Then something changed in their mind, the mind of the people who were married, or at least one of them, and they decided, I got new information, a new perspective, I don't want to be here anymore, and they made a change and the marriage is over. That doesn't mean that the whole 6 years was for naught. That doesn't mean they messed up by getting married in the first place. It means they actually did the right thing by getting divorced because they realized they didn't want to be in it anymore. So I just never got how people point that out like, oh, in the end it didn't work out, as if everything that happened in between that was wrong, and it's not. And the bigger point that I'm making here is, in life, the worst person you could be is the person who never tries, but then you sit on the sideline and talk shit about people who did just because they didn't get the quote-unquote ultimate goal. Like, for example, I played basketball. I played professionally for 9 years. My whole career was international, overseas, things like that. So somebody could come to me and be like, well, yo, you play ball, but you didn't play in the NBA. Or if somebody plays college ball. Let's say you get a scholarship and you play college ball. And I'm saying somebody's saying that who never played ball at all. Or somebody plays college basketball, they never play pro. They never play overseas, they don't play in the G League, the NBA. But then somebody talks shit to them like, yeah, you played in college, you went D1, or you got a scholarship, whatever, but you never played pro, you never played in the NBA. As if everything that they did in basketball doesn't matter because they didn't get to a certain level. And here's the thing you gotta understand, and why I'm calling this how you could be the biggest loser, is that when you're the person out there performing, and I think is a saying or a quote or something called the man in the arena. I think many of you know it. You can look it up. A lot of people use that quote. I'm not going to use it, but some of you know what I'm talking about. When you're the person out there performing and doing the stuff, there's always going to be somebody in the peanut gallery, meaning the people who are watching but not doing anything, who's going to say, well, yeah, you did that, but you didn't do this. Yeah, you did this, but you didn't do that. Yeah, you did that, but you didn't do that. It's like if you became a rapper and you sell a whole bunch of records, people are going to be like, well, you ain't Drake. You're not Jay-Z. If you're a singer, they're going to say, well, you're not Rihanna. You're not Beyonce. If you're name anybody who's great at something. If you do that same thing, but you're not at their level, or at least it doesn't look like you are, people are going to say, well, you're not that person. You can write books, and people are going to say, well, you're not Stephen King. If you direct movies, they're going to say, you're not Steven Spielberg. If whoever, you understand what I'm saying here. You design a smartphone, they're going to say, well, you ain't Steve Jobs. Your company's not Apple. There will always be something. And the biggest loser in life is not the person who tries and fails. The biggest loser is the person who never tries, but then they talk shit about the people who tried and failed, or the people who tried and succeeded. And they look at the biggest loser. What makes a person a loser is not the fact that you talk shit, is the fact that you never tried to play, but then you consider that a victory. Like the guy who was talking shit to me in high school was like, well, we in the same spot because neither of us is on the basketball team, but he never tried to get on the basketball team. So that's what makes you a loser, is the fact that you never even played in the game. Playing and coming up short is not a failure as long as you keep playing, or if you learn from it and you take that somewhere else in life. But playing and never trying to play in the first place, and you consider that victory, that's what makes you a loser. Don't be that person. Work on your game.